Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan on 4K Blu-ray. This is day 30 of 30 of my 30 days of Star Trek review. So we're ending it on one of the best movies of all time, and definitely one of the great Star Trek movies, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. All right, so this 4K looks so stinking good, and I bought it before when it was just the four movies. I had to mute that so they wouldn't get me. But I bought it before when it was just the four 4K movies, and I knew they were going to release it again, but I just had to see it. And so this is actually my second time watching the 4K, and it looks and sounds really great. And my preferred version is the director's cut. And the main difference that I perceive in the director's cut is the additional, more scenes with Scotty's nephew. And I realize there's already a ton of reviews on this movie because it's been out forever and it's one of the best movies of all time ever. It is. But the way that I was talking to my wife about the style of how I review stuff, and it's kind of like a book club. This is how I review things. It's like a book club and it's my turn. So I'm just going through and I'm highlighting things that stood out to me and what I think it means. So we're going to go through this movie like it's a book club and it's my turn, but it's a movie and I'm by myself. So right from the very beginning of this movie, where it shows the title, the music is so good and it so gets you in the mood. And I actually just realized just now that before the title shows, it's just showing the stars and music. There's no other credits. And that's kind of like a little overture, like in the motion picture, where it has quite a bit of music before anything really starts happening. So it's almost like a little mini overture. So once the credits are over, has the music kind of starts settling down and has this awesome little just tiny bit of exposition there. Like if you're coming in from totally fresh, haven't seen anything else, you at least know it's in the 23rd century. So I just think that's a clever, quick bit of exposition. Also, speaking of which, this whole movie is so tightly edited. It's less than 2 hours. It just has such good pacing. It's like movies don't know how to have pacing anymore. All right, so after the movie totally teases you by basically being like a Transformers the movie and killing off all the main characters in like 2 seconds, Kirk has the coolest entrance into the movie ever.
Any suggestions, Admiral?
As Kirstie Alley, like a little baby Kirstie Alley, as she totally botched the Kobayashi Maru. I just think that's such a awesome epic entrance. The door to the simulator opens. He comes walking in with this big old light, and all the dead bodies reanimate themselves and get up and start moving. Let me pause for a second here. Boop. I'm gonna do a giveaway on this movie, on this video. So I have a 4K digital copy of this movie, The Wrath of Khan, and so I'm gonna do a giveaway. So you got to be subscribed, you got to like it, and you got to do a comment. And then on the 7th of June 2023, that's 1 week from right now, I'm going to do a random drawing of people who leave comments, and then I will contact you and give you the digital copy for The Wrath of Khan. All right, look at that specimen. He's getting older, but look at that. I love these new uniforms in how it looks more like military-ish. I really liked these ones where they just looked like a little kid jammy shirt, kind of, because just like barely not fitting well enough. But these are classy looking. Those look good. So this movie, The Wrath of Khan, has pretty much been a part of my entire life. Like, this movie is a part of me. And I grew up watching Space Seed all the time, watching Khan in his little tight little space. Oh, there it is right there, his little space outfit. Right there. Anyway, just grew up watching this all the time, and so I love The Wrath of Khan. I actually love this whole trilogy: The Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and The Voyage Home. They're so good, and each one is so different and so purposeful. But focusing on this one now. Boop. I also like how literary not only this movie but just Star Trek in general is, and there's a lot of awesome literary references in here. Tale of Two Cities right there. So when these two guys, Chekhov and his captain, go down to the scary planet to see what's going on down there and about to get a nasty surprise, these spacesuits are so cool, and they really, really remind me of Starcom. If you've ever seen the Starcom toys from the 80s. You should look them up. They're super expensive now, but these little spacesuits look just like them. Big old bulby heads. Look at these guys. All right, on all movies that show libraries or anyone's house that shows libraries, I always have to look at the books on here or the movie collections. But I love seeing the books that Khan and his people have on this colony. Kind of like in Tron Legacy when it shows all the different books that Sam's dad has. But look at this. So specifically you got Paradise Lost, Moby Dick, the Bible referenced in here, and then King Lear. And then here's a little peek at Chekhov's about to freak out here. Right there. Botany Bay, a little bit of material from their little sleeping ship from the 90s. But yeah, he's gonna quote Moby Dick quite a bit, just like the other greatest Star Trek movie, Star Trek VIII, First Contact, also quotes Moby Dick. Very good book, by the way. It's a difficult read, but it's great. I recommend it. I was gonna show it, but my friend's borrowing it. I have the Norton Critical Edition. It's like the Criterion edition of books, where it's like full of special features and stuff. Highly recommend. All right, so I totally love this movie, but that doesn't mean I can't point out things that I think are issues or silly. So these guys Chekhov just had his freak out, and he's like, Botany Bay. Anyway, and then they get their helmets on, they run out there. I really wish they would have switched helmet colors. That would have been fun. But anyway, they run out into the sand, and what do they see? My mustache needs to get trimmed. So they see. Anyway, look at all these guys. Okay, so a bunch of scary people, and Chekhov is now like, holy crap, these are the superhumans that we marooned here. Scary people. They're probably 20 feet away, and they're super posing. They're not like lined up to like sprint at them. They're dramatically posing. Could they not just hurry and pull out their communicator and be like, us to ship, beam us up like right now? I know that the pitch meeting guy would be like, because the plot needs to happen, and then the producer guy would be like, oh, okay. But seriously, it's like there's enough distance where they could just be like, let's go. Let's beam back up to the Reliant. Okay, as soon as Khan is done peeling off his 146 layers, we get to see his glorious face. So even old Ricardo Montalban, look at that. Look at that face. He kind of looks like a Skeksis from Dark Crystal. Is that rude to say? Maybe a little. But watch Khan's eyes when Chekhov recognizes him. And we're gonna talk about Chekhov here in a minute and him recognizing him. But watch Khan's eyes. Incredible acting. Okay, here we go. Look at his eyes. Did you see that? Okay, we're gonna do it one more time, but at a further distance. Look at his eyes. Okay, did you see that? So he was just looking all squinty at him. He's like, who are you guys? And then he says his name, and his eyes just slightly get bigger, like so menacing. Kind of reminds me of... So it reminds me of all things, Chevy Chase in the movie Orange County, when the girl mentions that she could possibly get Britney Spears to show up. His eyes do this subtle flashy thing. Speaking of actors who can act with their eyes, Mel Gibson, Conspiracy Theory. He's good with acting with his eyes. Anyway, his little eyes flash is so awesome. It's so subtle. I love it. Okay, what does Khan say? Listen.
But you, I never forget a face. Mr. Chekhov.
Oh, it's creepy. He knows who he is. All right. So I don't think this is that big of a deal. That he recognizes Chekhov, and Chekhov is not in the episode. He's nowhere to be found in this at all. But guess what? There's 428 people on the original Enterprise, and we don't see every single one of them on the screen. So I really don't think it's a big deal that he's not in that episode, because maybe he wasn't assigned to the bridge at that point. Maybe he was down, climbing around in Jeffrey's tubes. And I think even him, Walter Koenig, says in an interview that he just imagines that Chekhov was in the bathroom. And so we didn't see him, but then he saw him as they were going through there or something. I can't remember. Anyway, the point is, not every member of the crew is on the screen, and we didn't see every minute of Khan's time when he was on the Enterprise originally. So I have no problem whatsoever that they're having this like recognition moment, but we didn't see them meet earlier. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Do you? Okay, one more thing on this scene. This guy looks like Will Ferrell. There's like, I swear, there's like a Will Ferrell type person in all the things. This is like a Will Ferrell clone or back in time Will Ferrell. He just shows up everywhere. It's like 12 Monkeys. All right, look at these two guys' face. So Saavik has just walked by them to go take the ship out of space dock. He does not look happy. His eyes are huge. So Saavik has never piloted the ship out of space dock. She's about to do that right now. And you've got Bones and Kirk. Look at Kirk's face right here. Okay, and then watch his face when after Spock says this thing about there's a first time for everything. Look at Kirk's face.
And there is a first time, Lieutenant. Don't you agree, Admiral?
He's so nervous. And then look at what Bones says to him.
Would you like the tranquilizer?
I had 1/4 impulse power.
And what?
I don't know if you could hear it because he's mumbly. But he asks him if he wants a tranquilizer, and he shakes his head no. Actually, the way he shakes his head no right there kind of reminds me of Johnny Depp. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful scene, beautiful acting right here. All right, so they made it out of space dock. Sulu asks where they're supposed to go. Spock says, indulge yourself to the navigator. And Kirk seems good with that. But, so, I think they're above Earth, right? Anyway, my imagination just runs wild every time he says that. It's like, oh man, I'd fly like around Jupiter real quick, or fly around here, do this, or like go upside down over the moon, or just like, it's like indulge yourself. It's like with a spaceship in space. It's like so fun to think of the possibilities of what you would do and just be like, I'm going to either make the captain regret telling me to indulge myself with flying this thing around, or just make him let me do it more. Woo! The scene in Spock's quarters is actually really beautiful, their conversation with each other. But I love how it starts out with the reflection of Kirk in the background. Star Trek seems to like these, like, Buddy goes into Buddy's room with cool reflection in the background thing. Like, it's kind of like becoming a thing at this point. Here we get Spock and Kirk talking about one of the main themes of the movie.
Needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Or the one.
Foreshadowing. One
You
of
are
the most
also my
beautiful
friend.
lines ever.
I have been and always shall be yours.
That's so good. It gets me every time. That scene in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek where he says that again to young Kirk, that is very powerful because of the history of this right here. But this is such a good line and such good setup for later in the movie. All right, so they come up to the Reliant and listen to this awesome, sinister music as they come up to the Reliant here.
Picture, Mr. Saavik.
Yeah, it's so good. That was cooler in my head, but love just the sinister music as it's coming up on them. I love this. This is part of what I love about Star Trek, is just the sheer nobility of the characters in it. So Khan has just told him that he wanted him to know that it was him and that he's going to kill him. And then Kirk says this.
If it's me you want, I'll have myself beamed aboard. Spare my crew. I make you a counter proposal. I'll agree to your terms.
Anyway, I love that. It's just, it didn't even take him, like, it wasn't like he sat there and he's like, oh man, like, this is scary, like, I might die. He's just like, he immediately is like, no, take me, spare them. It's just, I just love his selfless nature, and I think it's such a good example of true leadership. All right, so I know that it's very, very touching that Scotty is holding his nephew here in the elevator on the bridge. But why is he on the bridge? Why didn't he just go straight to sickbay? I don't know. And if you could explain to me why he does that, to me it doesn't make any sense. Maybe he's delirious because he's been down there with light oxygen and he goes to the bridge first. Maybe he wanted to go show Kirk. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's just go to sickbay. What are you doing on the bridge? it's a very dramatic moment. Everyone on the bridge is like, oh my goodness. And Spock's even like, close his eyes. Oh, but it just doesn't make sense because Met sick bay's down there and he went to the bridge. So I don't know. This part is kind of kills it a little bit for me. I mean, it's a very touching moment. It's very sad, but we're not carrying bodies up to the bridge. It's not the triage area. All right, now that is just sad. And I think the director's cut, it makes this scene make even more sense, and it makes it even more sad because there had been additional scenes with his nephew. But something that overshadows that a little bit for me is this little blood spot that the nephew put on there with his hand. It moves later, and it's just like moving someone's scar from one movie to another. Like Force Awakens to Last Jedi, but there's a lot more problems going on there, believe you me. But from scene to scene, the blood spot moves around, and it's hard to explain that one away. I do my best to explain away things on movies that I love, but when the blood spot just moves on his shirt, it's like, oh. Okay, so here's where it is now. And here's where it is just a little bit later on the bridge. I mean, that is definitely in a different spot. I don't know if someone accidentally washed his uniform and they're like, no, that was supposed to keep being used or what, but it's the wrong spot. Look at this beautiful shot as they come up on Regula 1.
Approaching Regula at Space Lab Regula 1.
Yeah.
Space Station Regular 1.
Okay, I actually do have a question though. So in the last little, I guess, first battle bout thing where they use the secret code to blast the Reliant and kind of sent it drifting, and then they're pretty rough off too. But they have the power to get to Regular 1, and I know that they want to get there to check on Dr. Marcus, Carol Marcus, right? For personal reasons, but also professional reasons. They need to check on the Project Genesis and these people. But I don't know. It's kind of strange that so they send the Reliant drifting, and it's like, oh, one more little zap there, and they could have just blown it up and been like, there you go, Khan, you're done, because you will make it out of this because you are super genius. So to me, the pacing of the movie is a little weird right here, but it feels like a naval battle, like at the beginning of Master and Commander, where there's that first battle, and then later and then it takes all the repairing and getting ready, and then later in the movie there's more fighting. So it's actually a similar structure to this, but I'm like, could you just have zapped him one more time before? Maybe actually. No, they had to lower their shields because they didn't have enough power. So maybe they didn't have enough power to zap them one more time. Actually, I think I may have just explained it. Let me know what you think. All right, get ready to see some of the coolest jackets of all time. Yes! Ha-ha! Look at those away team jackets. Look at that collar. So cool. It just never gets old. He just told me he's going to leave them buried alive there, like he left them marooned. And he yells the thing. He said the thing. I love it. Look at Khan's reaction here. If you could tell me what you think he's feeling.
This is Lieutenant.
It looks like he really liked that. I'm sorry. He's just really happy he got revenge, but his reaction there is a little intense. All right, so you have these two ships that are super beat up and getting ready for a fight, and I just love how they take a simple thing like a planet in between them and just turn it into a super interesting tactical like battle scenario. So you got the Enterprise on the bottom of this planet. You got the Reliant up there. And they even give you a little graphic to explain it. I love this.
Uh-oh.
Look at this.
She can still outrun us.
Anyway, so you get an idea of what's going on. There's this planet in between them. They're on opposite sides of each other, and the Reliant's going to catch up to them. And then they decide to go into the nebula. All right, so they're going into the nebula. And look at this beautiful shot. You've got Spock in focus in the background.
It's closing.
Yes. Look at that amazing profile shot. It's like that's like straight out of Sergio Leone right there. Look at that. Look at that determined captain. Such a good shot. So this whole Mutara Nebula fight scene is so cool, and just listening to Kirk and Khan kind of banter back and forth, and Kirk trash talking Khan. But look at this amazing shot right here. Just get an idea of where they are in relation to each other. So one thing I love about this battle, other than every freaking second of it, is the damage that you see to their ships. Like of course the exterior, but the interior of the ships. Like the stuff that goes on once they're getting shot up. Because at the beginning, if you remember, in the Kobayashi Maru scene, the panels, like there's like smoke and a little bit of sparks, and then people like fall down and die. And up till that point in all of Star Trek, up to this point, it's been about that. So you could just be like, oh yeah, they could totally die from that. And so for a second, you really could think those characters are dying, because that's been about the level of the damage in Star Trek, maybe even less than that. So those little puffs and sparks at the beginning in the simulator were actually kind of believable. But then when you get in this actual battle, look at how completely different like the simulated damage is versus like the real damage of a real battle. Right here. Yes. Guy just like catches on fire. There's flames everywhere, all over everything. Not just a little spark out of their computer, but it's just like the walls are on fire. That is awesome. And it's cool that now it juxtaposes with the damage at the beginning, and it's like, no, that was just playtime. This is like people are catching on fire. Evasive action. Ah. I'm on fire. Oh my gosh. I love watching Kirk and Spock outsmart this genetically superior guy. Listen to how Spock classifies him.
Pattern indicates two-dimensional thinking.
Two-dimensional thinking. Look at Kirk's face. A little bit of a smirk there. And then he changes his course. Watch what he has.
Z minus 10,000 meters. Stand by photon torpedoes.
You hear that? Z minus. And look, what are they doing? They're going down. I guess it went down too far, then it had to pop up behind the Reliant. Look how freaking heroic this shot is. Haha! Just pops up behind him. Look at that. So cool. Also, this music reminds me of the train at Disneyland. The Grand Canyon or the dinosaurs music. It kind of sounds similar. I'm Khan and I'm two-dimensional thinker. Z minus 1,000. So Spock realizes what he's got to do.
Are you out of your Vulcan mind? No human.
That's such a good line. And here is awesome Khan quoting Moby Dick right here by himself to Kirk.
From hell's heart, I stab at thee. For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee.
And it really is his last breath. So this is a pretty powerful scene. As Spock is dying, and Kirk's running down there, it's cutting back and forth to this new planet being born. Anyway, it's incredibly sad, and he's running down there to check on his buddy. But it is very beautifully poetic, going back and forth between the newly birthing planet and then on his way to see the dying Spock. This is one of the most touching scenes ever, where they're touching hands through the glass as he's dying. Which is why I actually love this painting so much. I got this at a Comic-Con. This is the original. They were selling prints of it, but I actually was able to buy the original. They said that I was the only person at Comic-Con to recognize what this is from. And I recognized it immediately, and I was so blown away by it that they let me buy the original. And I love the picture of Spock's hands with Kirk's hand. So I just love having that on my wall. It's just a reminder to do things for others to your own detriment. It's super uplifting to have it on there. This movie also 100% of the time makes me think of this verse right here in John 15 verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. So check this out. Kirk is in his room reading his book, and you can tell that he's almost at the end. So throughout the movie, he's been reading through A Tale of Two Cities that Spock gave him for his birthday. And that funeral scene gets me every time. I know he comes back in the next movie, but my goodness, it gets me every time. So his son comes to visit him in his room.
That I'm proud. Very proud to be your son.
Aww. So he lost a brother in Spock, but he gained a son in David. Look at this awesome shot right here. The composition
You
of
okay,
everyone
Jim?
in the background. What does he say?
Feel?
Love it. He says he feels young. Earlier he was talking about how he felt old, but it's a perfect way to jumpstart into the rest of these movies after a huge gap from the TV show. All right, this has been day 30 of 30 of my 30 days of Star Trek reviews. The 4K of The Wrath of Khan is absolutely phenomenal. It looks so good. It's never looked better. I loved it. And the movie, of course, is amazing. The music, the acting, there's jokes, there's action, there's tension, there's scary stuff, there's gross stuff, there's smart stuff, and there's touching stuff, and there's people sacrificing for each other, and there's revenge and betrayal and intrigue. This is a perfect movie. I love this movie. So please let me know what you think. If you want to win the digital copy of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, please be subscribed, like, and leave a comment. A thought-out comment. Don't just leave a cheesy one. But well, cheesy is okay, but just as long as you think about it. Anyway, leave a comment, and I will do a drawing on June 7th, 2023 to see who won, and I'll contact you. So thanks for watching. See you in the future. So I'm going to keep reviewing Star Trek stuff, but I'm going to get back into mixing other things as well. So stay tuned for more Star Trek, but also more of not Star Trek, because I've been doing straight Star Trek for 30 days, which I love, but I'm going to break it up. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.